Okay, so what I'm going to use here for this philosophy of science part, which is the critique of science, I'm going to use this graphic guide called Introducing Philosophy of Science. I like to use it a lot. I like the graphic artist Born Van Loon, who does the artwork here. He also does the artwork for the Darwin graphic that we'll look at in a second. So he's very surrealistic, humorous, and it really sticks in your mind some of the things he's doing. The philosophy of science isn't the good one. The good one is with the Darwin. The next we'll see. So anyway, I'm just going to page through this and sort of just cover sort of the big points of the philosophy of science critique of science. And so it starts off by asking questions, right, about science and absolute objectivity, right? Scientists have traditionally been understood as quasi-religious supermen, and science doesn't really reflect on itself, right? It's pretty egoistic about what it does and has no reflective sort of mechanism to it, or not a lot, as its critics see. So anyway, it asks these questions. Do we trust scientists, right? So as I said before, that science probably up to about like World War II was, really the golden boy of the American success story. But in the ensuing 80 years, there's been a lot of critique of science. So people have become more skeptical of science in a lot of ways. And so the text talks about this and talks about popular depictions of science. So Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Island of Dr. Moreau, Dr. Strangelove, Boys from Brazil, right? So we might, on the one hand, we tend to have a positive sort of notion of science, an idealized version of science that comes through in our education systems. But in our popular culture, there seems to be this sort of unconscious or, not, conscious sort of critique of science, or a real sort of distrust of science that goes on, okay? And so that's what the writers do here. They ask, well, why is there this popular distrust? And it talks about atomic bombs, chemical weapons, eugenics, right? A lot of the byproducts of science, right, have not been great, even if the science has been great.